Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one this morning. This is the way to wake up. Listen to these numbers right here. XRP, 49 cents. It's up 52.95% on the 24-hour and 48.29% on the 7-day. Yeah, and you know what else we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about XRP and its path. It is on a very direct path, I believe, and that path is a big deal. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. Look at these numbers right here, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin at 33,891. It's up 6.11% on the 7-day and about 0.44% right now on the 24-hour. Ethereum is $1,351. It's up 0.76 on the 24-hour and 9.5% on the 7-day. Coming down to the number 4 spot. That's right. XRP said, the SEC who? Yeah, that's right. We don't care about the 5 spot because XRP is creeping right back up to the number 4 spot again, regardless of that SEC lawsuit. And I'm going to tell you, we're about to walk through some powerful information, which I believe reveals the real path for XRP. We're going to get to that in a second. Right now, like I said, up 52%. And 52.37% on the 24-hour. We may pass 50 cent again, which we broke yesterday briefly, and we may pass that again today. So let's go ahead and get right down into this thing. And I just love looking at fiat links. Look at it all. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. Anyway, let's move right to the news. I want to play this clip here from Digital Asset Investor. This is probably one of the most profound clips you're going to see to really just level set on what you think about this crypto space. This is Vitalik Buterin talking a few years ago about the plans when Ethereum launched, how they launched. What he describes is an ICO. Let's go ahead and listen to this very quickly, and then we're going to get moving on the information.
Let's put it this way, Andrew. We did not regulate Bitcoin as a security. When people use crypto assets as securities to raise capital for a venture, the SEC regulates that. And what was happening in the ICO craze was people were using ICOs and essentially making public offerings of securities without registering them with the SEC.
Well, I'll talk a bit about the funding model. So we will have a fundraiser for 2 months starting February 1st. It will be available at funds.ethereum.org. So the part of the initial issuance will be 1,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin, or up to 2,000 Ether for 1 Bitcoin if you get in early to compensate for the increased risk. So the issuance model is that we will fundraise. Suppose that we hand out X Ether through the fundraiser, then there will be about 0.5x will be pre-mined, and then 0.4x after that will be mined per year forever. So it's this hybrid of the Mastermind and Ripple model. And
let's put it this way, Andrew. We did not regulate Bitcoin as a security. When people use crypto assets as securities to raise capital for a venture, the SEC regulates that. And what was happening in the ICO craze was people were using ICOs and essentially making public offerings of securities without registering them with the SEC.
There you go. Look, I wanted to play this clip, and shout out to Digital Asset Investor, but I wanted to play this clip to set the tone here. Let's all level set for a second. What does this really mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means this entire asset space, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP, has not truly been defined. But it's about to. Now let's move through this, and I want you to stay with me as I move through this information. It is very important. I believe we're going to get a macro view of where the ultimate destination, where all of this is about to take us. Looking right here, India planned to craft new law to ban Bitcoin. Governments around the globe have been studying methods to regulate Bitcoin, but no major economy has taken the drastic course of putting blanket restrictions on owning them. I have said this for many, many years, that you can't stop the technology and the innovation. That is very true. But they can regulate you out of existence if they want to, and they're considering it. I'm not saying that this will happen to Bitcoin, but what I do believe firmly is that we will see massive changes with I believe, a unified framework that will come out between the CFTC and the SEC, broadly speaking. Obviously, the DOJ and everyone else will be in it as well. But I think coming from those agencies, you're going to see a unified approach come out. Now, again, I think Bitcoin makes it long term, but I think there's going to be some regulations that jump into place. Now, I want to play this for you. Even if you've heard it, listen carefully to what's said here, because we're about to go into the narrative here that really, I believe, takes us where we're headed here. Believe it or not. Let's listen.
That Ethereum and Ripple might end up being classed as securities. First of all, there's no reason why you wouldn't know, but do you have a sense of how long it might take the SEC to come to a ruling on stuff like this?
I don't know. I think that I think this is a multi-year process. The reason I say that is to write a rule, get public comments, to get feedback, finalize that rule, give a period of time for implementation, and maybe court challenge is 2 years at a minimum, and possibly 3 to 5 years when you really see how things go. I think 2018, and I'll be speaking more about exchanges later this week, but 2018 is a period of time to try to bring compliance into this sort of 1,000-plus tokens. On Ripple and Ether, while I think there's a strong case particularly for Ripple or XRP, given the centrality and the common enterprise around Ripple Labs, and that they're selling it every month and so forth. That's really a discussion between them and the SEC. And ultimately, the way I would think is, if the SEC declares that they're securities, it might end up in court. And so it won't be the SEC. It will be maybe not even a federal district court, but an appellate court that will decide, or the Supremes. But let me say this. If they decide that they're not securities, I think that, too, probably ends up in court. And the reason is because somebody else will say, well, why are they getting out of regulation and I'm not? So law is best when applied consistently. And we went through the Duck test and the Howey test, a little humorous, but it's also because for whichever way authorities go, they have to have an eye on consistency as well.
Right.
And so I think 9 months at the least, maybe 2 to 5 years at the longest.
Right.
Now, that is 2018 that we heard from Gary Gensler and his thoughts there. Now, Gary has been absolutely very vocal about the fact that XRP is, in fact, a security in his eyes. You heard him say it right there. Now, with that being said, obviously we know that the SEC is suing Ripple. We know this. But before that happened, what did we have? Now, stay with me through this. We had the class action lawsuit against Ripple before we actually got the SEC lawsuit against Ripple. Now, there was another lawsuit that was added with that, right? So if you look here, and shout out to Leonidas and XRP Arcade, he reminds us of the time when it came out at the time, Simmons versus Ripple Labs, one of the two cases currently open against Ripple, claiming the company has violated securities law, has been moved from New York to California. And it says Daniel Simmons filed a lawsuit against Ripple, Bradley Garlinghouse, and XRP2 LLC, and that was in March 2020. Claiming at least $119,206.22 plus interest, costs, disbursements, and reasonable attorney fees. On July 22nd, the plaintiff and defendant filed a joint motion to transfer the case to the Northern District of California. The motion was approved, and now we went on and on and on. So, okay. All right, so now then there's Greenwald versus Ripple, O'Connor versus Ripple, Bitcoin manipulation versus Ripple were considered the oldest cases that can offer versus Ripple. It only makes sense for the case to get consolidated as well, but not so much. Such motion has been filed at the time of writing. So you get it that there are several class actions against Ripple right now. Not uncommon. Big companies are sued all the time. But then came the market regulator, the SEC, suing Ripple directly, right? And from that, we started to get the Tetragon, which was major investor in fundraising round with Ripple, who sued them and to force stock redemption. Then we had Coinbase get sued because they were selling and offering XRP. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is even a lawsuit against Kraken, if I'm not mistaken. Then we had the Delaware Chancery Court approve temporary restraining order, right, versus Ripple. Delaware Chancery Court has approved a temporary restraining order against Ripple Labs on behalf of an investor, which is Tetragon, to stop any further XRP purchases until the investor can sell back its stock. According to reports, the court approved the bid from investor Tetragon to prevent Ripple from buying any more XRP or redeeming other investor stock until Tetragon's stake had been redeemed. Now, what's interesting about this is that the Chancery Court actually sided with Ripple in this matter. With Tetragon in this matter. And the clause between Ripple and Tetragon actually states that Tetragon can retrieve their money if XRP is to be found to be a security, but it is only alleged at this point. I find it interesting that the Delaware Chancery Court has really issued a restraining order without even having anything other than the SEC alleging that it is unregistered. But let's keep moving. Then we had this guy show up late to the dance. This is a person who does not obviously embarrass very easily. He had 135 XRP and lost 50% of his value, and now he's suing Ripple over XRP being an unregistered security as well. So we have that. Now let's take a look at this. This is the response to the official response submitted to the courts based on what the SEC has filed a complaint against Ripple as being an unregistered security. This is Ripple's response to that. What's interesting to this, and shout out to Jeremy Hogan from Legal Briefs, who has been really, really great insights in all of this and helping us understand this stuff. And if we look at the affirmative defenses, as we understand, is what Ripple is submitting back to the court to say, we would like to see these things addressed, right? And one of them obviously is that Ripple did not violate Section 5 of the Securities Act. XRP is not a security or an investment contract, and Ripple's distribution of sales of XRP are not investment contracts. No registration required in connection with any distribution of sale of XRP by Ripple. So basically, as we understand this from Jeremy Hogan, and really, really grateful for somebody like him in this space to really share the insights to help us understand this jargon, this verbiage, that Ripple is looking to the court to go one step further than what Ripple was asked, or what SEC had asked the court to do, which was to really fine Ripple, and they wanted restrictions on the XRP escrow. Originally, the SEC did not look to get a security, not a security designation. It was really what I'd like to call pay to play from a regulator, because the regulator absolutely should be looking to get that determination because of what Gary Gensler said in the video we watched. Market regulators should be looking for consistency. You cannot sit down and just one-off, this one can go through the gate, this one can't, this one's a security, this one isn't, with the little magic wand. No, that is not how you regulate. Because, in fact, we have measures in place to regulate, and it's the Commodities Exchange Act for the CFTC, right? Just like it's the Howey test for the SEC. And Then we had, if you remember, because the Commodities Exchange Act was actually passed by Congress to really, really bring a framework to commodities in the entire section, and that you would have to be on a regulated exchange in order to operate with commodities, right? Then we had not long ago the submission of the Digital Commodities Exchange Act. Well, this is an extension of the original CEA, the Commodities Exchange Act. And it was to encompass digital assets, so that way they had a broader scope of framework if they could have gotten it passed, which they didn't as of yet. But that's why Brad Garlinghouse and everyone in the fintech space was so hot on getting that passed, because they understood that this would help the CFTC regulate the digital asset space. Now, moving a little forward here, we know that the Howey test is what we see used by the SEC. The SEC has recently created another division for digital assets. It is an extension of the SEC, a new division or new office to oversee digital assets. What you're looking at here is an expansion of the Howey test and how they use that framework to drill down even further to try to define how digital assets may or may not fit within that framework, and it's quite expansive, as you can see. But if I come down here, you can see, and courtesy to Big Skinny, who sent me this originally, but this framework represents the views of the strategic hub for innovation and financial technology of the Securities Exchange Commission. It is not a rule, regulation, or statement or commission, and the commission has neither approved nor disapproved its content. So basically what I see here is this is an expansion of the Howey test from a strategic innovation hub, right, to understand how they can expand a framework and maybe adopt that, and it becomes, let's say, hashtag the Ripple test, right? Not to replace the Howey test, but to become a second new test for the SEC to use, so they don't find themselves in this inconsistent regulation way of deciding this one can go, this one can't, this one's a security, this one isn't. And we can't operate that way. So you see the effort between the Digital Commodities Exchange Act to be an extension for the CFTC, which did not get adopted as of yet. And you see now this framework, which is an extension from the SEC, which looks a lot like what could become their second test to add to the pile to go along with the Howey test when it comes to digital assets. Let's keep moving. Here we see bullcrap. You just screwed XRP retail investors, and this is the SEC from Michael Val 5 Link says we will act to protect retail investors when the facts demonstrate abusive and manipulative trading activity that is prohibited by federal securities law. And he's right. It's bullcrap. They waited 77 years, and it has been a dereliction of duty by the SEC broadly to not address this issue. Again, I've made it no shocking surprise to me that they have allowed Ripple to do this because they understand that they need Ripple and they need XRP. Who is they? That they is the governments and the sophisticated financial institutions like central banks around the world. There, if you haven't noticed, has been a liquidity crisis and then followed by the pandemic that showed up to everyone's doorstep. When you think of this for a moment, I don't know about you, but I take cumulative information here that we just went through, all the class actions, the suit from the SEC, the fallout from other class actions against exchanges, investors now suing Ripple as well, the Chancery Court coming in and telling Ripple that there's a temporary restraining order over the issue until it's settled. This, to me, leads us to a path that Ripple is clearly on because it's so big. This isn't as simple as it's just between Ripple and the SEC. Oh, no. This is Ripple, the SEC. This is Ripple and several class action lawsuits. This is Ripple and the fact that XRP was sold on exchanges and now they're getting sued, right? This has gotten cumulative and very big and very ugly, and the Tetragon lawsuit as well. I think this is making such a big case that this has no chance and no place to go but right here. and that's the Supreme Court. Because that is how they arrived at the Howey test from the SEC versus Howey. And I believe that this asset is so important that they will need legal precedent from the highest court on the land, the Supreme Court, in order to really get this settled so that they can craft not only the Ripple test, but Ripple and XRP can go out and operate at its full-scale intended use, whether they call it a security or a currency. I do not believe that the end result will hurt its full-scale intended use. However, I do believe there's a great potential and possibility that you may see a classification come down that does change the way a retail investor can participate in this asset going forward. Now, I think it's exciting that we're currently in a place where we're looking at 50 cents. Maybe we're there already. Let's take a look and see if we push. We were at 49 cents when the video started, and we're getting very close to 50 cents again. Now, this is exciting, but I have to say, one has to wonder, while U.S. residents and retail investors are being locked out and making it harder and harder for us to get XRP, do you think all of this is coincidence? Because I don't. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. I really believe we're on the path to go to the Supreme Court, and I just think that we looked at enough information and enough of a mess that's going to take us there, because that's how you get the resolution you need, and it'll never have to be addressed again. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Check out all the links in the description box and the comment section. There's really great products and services out there for each and every one of you if you need it, and they are trusted, vetted links. Don't forget, this is the last day to sign up for Link 2 of the month here. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go sign up for Link 2. They are really, really incredible group of people. Yes, you have to be an accredited investor in order to get the product, but I tell you what, you don't have to be an accredited investor to join the community, and they are an incredible bunch over there. I really do think the world of them and everything that they're doing. And if you look right here, Ripple's back on the board, baby. Now, if you are an accredited investor and you have bought Ripple SPVs from Link 2, you can still get it on here when it does replenish. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Kraken's on the board. Uphold. Who doesn't love Uphold? And JP Theriot and what he's doing right now. That dude is amazing, what he's doing in this space to just show the strength and courage to keep on offering XRP as long as they have access to it. I just think that's really, really amazing. Shout out to them. So go support the ones that are supporting us, and I'll catch all of you on the next one.